What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Cyhadow, where we talk all things anime, comics, and everything in between. And this is going to be very interesting. So before we go any further, a subscriber actually asked for a certain video, which will be coming out later. But with that certain video, made me think of this one. So thanks to that subscriber, now we got two videos. And it actually helps me out because, you know, content. We basically talking about the title of the video. What basically Gaara being a perfect Jinchuriki, how would that look? What would the certain scenarios be? And, you know, could he do Baryon mode? Does he get a Jin cloak? I don't fucking know, but we're just gonna jump straight into this. Mainly, we really gotta realize is that technically this was happened after the Chunin exam during Naruto Part 1, but it would have to be somewhere between that and the Chunin exam Part 2, which is like the filler arc during Naruto Shippuden, which happened before Naruto Shippuden because Gaara became the Kazekage before Shippuden started. And if I'm confusing you and if I spoiled a lot for you, I am sorry, but by this time, if you haven't seen Naruto, if you don't know Naruto, well, basically, you know now. So before we really go into this, I'm pretty sure some of y'all are like, what do you mean Gaara perfect Jinchuriki? Gaara is the Jinchuriki of the one-tailed Shukaku. Oh my God! And if you don't know what Shukaku is a tailed beast. A tailed beast is basically a beast made out of fucking chakra. That's all I'm really gonna go into, and we're just gonna jump straight into this thing. We really gotta look at is, like I said, it would be after Chunin exam during Part 1, but before Gaara becomes Kazekage before Shippuden starts, if that makes sense. So I would see it as this. For those who watched the anime, we all saw that one filler arc where Gaara ending up showed everybody that he didn't rely on Shukaku at all for, you know, him getting better as a person. Now, with that being said, how does that look, you know, him becoming a perfect Jinchuriki? So with him finally working on himself, being a better person, he ending up had it to where he realized,
well, now that I'm a better person and people are starting to like me within my own fucking village and they don't see me as a monster, let me actually tackle the monster that is responsible for all the bullshit and the horribleness that's caused me all so much pain and trauma when I was young.
What does that mean? Well, he's gonna have to fight Shukaku inside of him, just how like Naruto fought Kurama inside of him. The only difference is that Gaara's not gonna be throwing out Rasengans and pulling out chakra and all that shit. No, it's going to be a sand battle. It's literally two kids fighting in a sandbox. That's basically what it is, except for one of the kids is big.
What?
The other one is underdeveloped. Like, that's the best way I can fucking explain it. This is where things get interesting. It would end in a draw. And what I mean by draw, I mean Shukaku would ending up I wouldn't say fully sealed, but he would get partially sealed away because we do know that Gaara does have a sealing technique, which is Grand Sand Mausoleum. With that being said, he can seal people away using that technique. And he would partially seal Shukaku because what he can do is use the sand that is Shukaku to seal himself away. The only problem is Shukaku actually has those markings, which is actually used to seal people away. But I digress. Gaara ending up manipulating sand to seal Shukaku away is not going to work because eventually he'll run out of chakra because he's human and he doesn't have a lot of chakra like a tailed beast. So he's going to seal Shukaku away partially, which will immobilize him except for his head. And then Gaara's gonna run out of chakra in the process. Like I said, it's basically a sand fight. It's sand user versus sand user. It's like Boomy versus Toph in Avatar. It's two earthbenders fighting each other. So basically what happened to where like Shukaku would be like,
hey, you seem to be good at what you're doing, you know, thanks to me actually giving you magnet release. Let's put it like this. We ending up become friends. We ending up teaming up with each other. I let you use some of my abilities, and I won't ending up kill you or go rampage through the village or ending up doing anything crazy. I won't take over your body unless you let me to.
And Gaara rebuttals with some shit like,
deal, except for you're never gonna take over my body.
Now, I know some of y'all like this is basically like, you know, Sukuna and Itadori, but it's a little bit different, and ending up those two ending up become the best of friends. Since they become a perfect Jinchuriki, we don't know what a perfect Jinchuriki looks like when it comes to the hidden sand, because one, the only perfect Jinchuriki that we've seen, and yes, I put quotation marks around that motherfucker because the only perfect Jinchuriki we've seen was actually some monk that you're seeing on your screen right now that had Shukaku sealed away inside of him. He was imprisoned. So with that whole imprisonment that he got to deal with, we really didn't see what he could actually do. All we really got to see him do was just basically talk to Shikaku and say, hey, have faith in humans. And Shikaku said, yeah, fuck that faith, I don't believe in God. So now that the fact that Gaara is actually going to be the perfect Jinchuriki, he has to obviously train, figure out what to do. One of two ways is that he can figure it out himself, which obviously is the best case scenario, because who the fuck is going to be traveling to the fucking hidden sand? Especially any Jinchuriki is going to be traveling to the hidden sand to, well, train Gaara to become a perfect Jinchuriki, especially when the fact that the Akatsuki around this time was hunting other Jinchuriki. And the only other possible solution that this would happen, see, I personally believe that the hidden cloud would be the better option. Now, granted that the hidden cloud and the hidden sand, you know, really didn't have any animosity towards each other that I understood. But the one thing I do realize is that even though the hidden stone had two perfect Jinchuriki, they was beefing, the stone and the sand. The hidden leaf and the hidden sand, they was somewhat teaming. But again, Naruto's the only Jinchuriki in the fucking hidden leaf, and he's all training with Jiraiya. And Jiraiya is not even telling Naruto what to do when it becomes to be a perfect Jinchuriki. He's really basically saying, hey, this is what you do to tame the Nine Tails, not befriend it. The hidden sand, the hidden stone, and the hidden mist, and the hidden clouds are the main people we know with Jinchurikis that were actually perfect. And the hidden stone and the hidden mist are out. Why? Because reasons, obviously, and so that only leads to hidden clouds. So which means that the two tails Jinchuriki is the only person that would train Gaara, because most likely Killer B wasn't around that time. Killer B was not around that time, and every other, Jinchuriki or Gyuki was not really working out too well. But mainly I do see it that Gaara by ending up training with himself and along with other people to actually help him become a better Jinchuriki, and also have it to where he can do other things. And one of the things I see him doing is able to use Shikaku's sealing technique. Now granted, like I said before, Gaara has a sealing technique which is Grand Sand Mausoleum. Even though Grand Sand Mausoleum is able to be used, I think Gaara would be better in, well, close quarter situation, if not long distance. We do know that his sand is actually infused with his mother, so his mother is protecting him even though the bitch is dead. The main thing we really have to understand is the combination of Gaara's, well, sand mixed with his mother's protection and Shikaku's tanukiness. I feel like that's a dangerous combination when it comes to basically being Gaara. You got to think about it like this. If we really think about it, let's just say when Deidara abducted or when Deidara came through and started fighting Gaara in the hidden sand, I feel like personally, instead of them little detonators that was stuck inside of Gaara's sand, Shikaku would have been like, hey Gaara, don't send that piece of sand back to us because it has some sort of foreign chakra signature that I don't recognize, that's not yours or mine, so don't send it back to us because we'll end up get killed. Gaara would not have been exposed to get his ass whooped the way he did. Now that's just one thing. Gaara and Shikaku's connection to the sand, Shikaku would have his chakra within like Gaara's sand or whatever the heck happens. But the main thing I really see is happening is that Gaara would be able to use sand weapons. Not only sand weapons, but his sand defense would actually be a lot stronger, especially his sand armor. But the sand weapons is definitely would have it to where it will have Shikaku's ceiling tattoos or ceiling marks that's all over Shikaku's body. It would be on Gaara's sand weapons. Not only that, like let's just say Gaara were to hit you with a punch, ending up that punch is ending up covered in sand, and that sand ending up has those markings on it that Shikaku has, and that punch can ending up seal your ass away. Think about it like this: if you get cut or stabbed, pierced, whatever with one of those weapons that Gaara ending up uses, or if you get hit by it and it has Shikaku's markings on it, I feel like personally those markings would ending up come onto that person, and that person would ending up get sealed away. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going to happen, but I think it'd be interesting to see Gaara using Shikaku's sealing technique instead of Naruto using a magnet release Rasengan to seal Jubidara away, even though it was technically one of Jubidara's limbo clones. But the one thing I really got to go over is how would that look with Jin Cloak and Baryon mode and Shikaku Chakra mode. Well, I feel like personally a Shikaku Chakra mode would basically be Gaara sand armor, except for more on the lines of like Shukaku-y, so like it would look, so basically think about it like a samurai. You know how samurai masks kind of resemble oni, so basically a Shukaku chakra mode would basically be a sand armor that resembles Shukaku and have his markings all over Gaara, along with the tail and all that shit, right? Well, actually, minus the tail. He could have access to a Jin cloak part stage 1 and a stage 2. It just, I don't know how that works, because most of the time we associate Jin cloaks with the number of tails, and Shukaku only has 1. But the one thing I will say is that I really see in this being him not being able to use Baryon mode. That makes sense. Now, I know this probably makes no sense, and people are all like, well, if Naruto can use it, why can't he? I feel like personally, Shukaku would not pull a Kurama and use more of his chakra instead of Naruto using. I don't see Shukaku getting rid of his chakra before Gaara, because Tanukis are more trickier than foxes, but I don't really see them actually accessing a Baryon mode, because I don't see them needing to use a Baryon mode. Name another tail beast that can seal motherfuckers away. You can't. Why? Because Shukaku is the only one that we know. So let's just say Ishiki was to pull up on Gaara can literally just seal that nigga away. That's really it. That's all I got. So that's gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.